After 38 years of full-time pastoral ministry, my heart and soul is invested in the work of the local church and in pastoral ministry. Even though now I serve at Pentecostal Theological Seminary as an associate professor of theology, theology and pastoral ministry for me have always gone together and been mutually supportive and complementary. When I think about something that, on the one hand, I wish I had known earlier, and on the other hand, that I have found my theology and biblical understanding are mutually complementary, it would be the priority of building strong relationships. Today, that probably sounds so simple, and we think, well, everyone knows that, but really, I think probably my biggest shortcoming as a young preacher pastor in my first church was a failure to recognize the importance of building strong relationships. Honestly, I think I thought that if I could just come in and preach well, and we had great singing, and we had great services, and people prayed, that everything would just happen. And we did have great services and joyous occasions and divine breakthroughs, but something critical was missing. And it took me a few years to understand that you don't just show up and have church. Not really if you want to be effective and fruitful. I needed to build strong relationships with the people in my congregation and even beyond in the community. Years later, I learned in my theology studies, for example, in the work of Emil Brunner, the importance of personal relationships. It seems that as human beings, we tend to relate to others in one of two ways. Either what he called the I-thou or the I-it. In the I-it, others are sort of objects. You interact with them basically to use them and exploit them. And it may not be a malicious intention, but they seem like they're there for you. Preachers and pastors that expect the people to be all about building their ministry and supporting them, and just, that's kind of an I-it. The congregation is there for the preacher. The congregation is there, the flock is there for the shepherd. When in fact, it's quite the opposite. The I-thou understanding, rather, we interact not as a subject to object, but as subject to subject. Ultimately, that's how we are to interact with God, although unfortunately sometimes go into the I-it with God, and God becomes an object. In fact, I found that this is all interrelated. The more we have a personal relationship with God, perhaps the more we understand that we should have a personal relationship with our people and with other people. And they don't exist for us, but together we serve one another and serve the Lord. We build relationships of mutual awareness and mutual investment, relationships of love and trust. And in that realization, I suddenly came to know that's the biblical mandate regarding love. Yes, loving my people became more important to me. I still felt like my primary calling was to preach the word. I still wanted to lead my flock as a good administrator. But I realized that what really counted was building strong relationships, and everything else could kind of be re-energized by that reality. Yes, the priority of building strong relationships.